Hello, I'm Mark Levison, and if the language of Scrum sounds intimidating to you, don't worry, you're not alone. I get it, Scrum can be difficult to understand at first, but it's a lot easier when you think about it simply as different steps that the team moves through as they're working to build a product, then continue to build and improve it. To help show what I mean, let me introduce you to the world's smallest online bookstore. The world's smallest online bookstore is a fictional product we use to demonstrate how Scrum works in the real world. The bookstore caters to the view that Amazon is wrong. Readers don't want an infinite supply of books that they have to spend hours agonizing over and deciding from. They just want the right choice for them so they can quickly buy and spend more time reading. So we're going to join the team who've already built and launched an early version of the bookstore website. So far, the team has a website up and running where a book buyer can visit the site, find books recommended by staff, and purchase them. There is a rudimentary shopping cart system in place, but more features are needed. We'll use this scenario to demonstrate the different aspects of Scrum in a way that moves the Scrum team through the processes so you can understand how it's structured and, even more importantly, why. The Scrum team has just completed their 9th sprint and are about to meet with their Scrum Master and Product Owner to begin the next one. But before we let them jump into sprint planning, the first event in a sprint, we need to clear up some common confusion. And to do that, we need to explain what product backlog refinement is and why it should happen before sprint planning ever begins. The product backlog is a big picture list of all the items that we intend to build for the product or project in the near term. Product backlog refinement is when the product owner and the team refine that list to prepare for sprint planning by ensuring that the team understand the work items in the product backlog so they build the correct thing. The team give their best guess as to how much effort a product backlog item will take to complete. And the product owner prioritizes the product backlog queue for what is the next most important thing. The product backlog refinement is preparation work that happens before the first sprint and during every subsequent sprint. Prioritization is pretty self-explanatory, but let's touch briefly on user stories and estimation. The team can't build the right product unless they spend time with the product owner learning the product owner's current thinking. They do this by discussing each upcoming product backlog item with the product owner to understand how it relates to a user's needs. This is where user stories come into use by many teams. In our bookstore example, Paula has collaborated with the team to create user stories that describe each feature in a language that the whole team understands. Each user story is a short description that acts as a reminder to the team members of the bigger discussion they had around the user's needs. They can be handy, but it's important to note that user stories are not officially part of or required by Scrum. Estimation is when the team, estimates how much work is required for each of the items on the list and how long each will take to accomplish. The team also split large product backlog items into smaller, more manageable parts during product backlog refinement. Many people think that sprint planning includes reviewing the product backlog items or user stories and estimating them, but that just isn't effective. Yet, too many teams do this in sprint planning, and I strongly recommend against it. If you do it in a single session, it takes forever, and it also makes it difficult to focus on the planning portion. For a host of reasons, this leads to a crappy sprint. The product backlog refinement preparation work should be ongoing and happen at any convenient time during the sprint. This keeps the understanding about what they're building current and consistent among all team members. That way, when the sprint planning actually starts, the team already has the best information to work with. So now our world's smallest online bookstore team has refined their product backlog, and they can start their sprint with a sprint planning session to focus on the question, what is our goal which product backlog items can we do this sprint to contribute towards our goal? The developers, along with Scrum Master Steve and Product Owner Paula, meet at the beginning of their 10th sprint for sprint planning. They start by discussing what they think they can accomplish in the next 2 weeks. This will become their sprint goal. Paula explains that she's been getting a lot of requests for the ability to send gift cards to friends. She also wants to allow authors to give their readers discount codes so that they can promote their new books. The team spend half an hour discussing the backlog items with Product Owner Paula to get more clarity, and then they craft the following summary statement: buy, send, and use a gift card as their sprint goal. They decide that handing the discount code out is too much work for the next 2 weeks, and so they don't do it this sprint. After setting the sprint goal, the team walk through the product backlog in priority order, determining which product backlog items they forecast they can achieve this sprint. Once the team has determined what they're capable of accomplishing in the sprint, they finish the planning by discussing how they are going to accomplish the work. Many teams also use this time to break down their product backlog items into tasks. Since their discussion will be technical, Product Owner Paula steps out of the room to work on other things, but stays nearby in case the team have follow-up questions. After completing their sprint planning, the team takes their list of product backlog items with associated tasks and turns them into a sprint backlog, effectively a task board for the sprint. After the sprint planning session, the team selects 2 product backlog items to start work on immediately. They break into 2 groups. Tanya, Martin, and Doug tackle buy a $10 gift card. Brad, Ian, and Kirby work on send a gift card by email. For the next hour or 2, they work together to ensure that they have precise agreement about what they're building and what the underlying need is. This will reduce the chance of a surprise after the product backlog item is implemented when one team member says that an item isn't built in the way they expected. For the next few days, they work on these product backlog items. To ensure everyone on the team is collaborating and are focused on the goal, buy, send, and use the gift card, they meet for Daily Scrum. Daily Scrum is a short event that occurs first thing in the morning on each day of the sprint. The team stands in front of their sprint backlog to review where they are at and recheck their progress towards the goal that they set for the sprint. Each team member explains, what did I complete yesterday towards achieving the sprint goal? What do I commit to today towards achieving the sprint goal? What is slowing our progress down towards meeting the sprint goal? Since Daily Scrum is a self-organizing activity for and by the team, they should adapt the questions to help them meet the need, improving collaboration and completion of the sprint goal. Sometime during the sprint, the team worked together for a couple of hours to refine the product backlog. This is the activity we discussed at the beginning of the video before the sprint began. The team worked to see if all of the existing product backlog items still make sense. They also split larger items as they move up the product backlog, and they estimate in preparation for their next sprint planning. We do product backlog refinement frequently to make sure that the team always has a good understanding of what's coming next in the product and to have the information needed for the sprint planning at the start of each sprint. As the sprint draws to a close, our team has had some successes and some challenges. Throughout the 2-week sprint, the team collaborated to build and test product backlog items. In addition, they checked in with their product owner on a regular basis to ensure that they were delivering the product she expected. They have completed 4 of the 5 PBIs that they forecast they would achieve in sprint planning. They've also checked them against the definition of done. The definition of done is a checklist of specific criteria that the team compiled to ensure that each item is indeed finished to a high standard of quality and is deliverable. It's not a set it once and move on kind of thing. It gets updated frequently as the team learns more about their product and technical environment and as their skills grow. On the last day of the sprint, the team gather with Paula, product owner, Steve, Scrum Master, and various stakeholders to review what they have built. In the sprint review, Paula reminds people of the sprint goal, explains which product backlog items the team have completed. She checks the product backlog items against the definition of done that the team previously compiled. The done items are shared so that everybody has a good understanding of how the changes actually work. Ideally, this isn't done as a demonstration, but instead, with the stakeholders themselves using the done items. The intention is to engage them in the actual use of the product and ensure that their feedback is grounded in that personal experience. The group, including executives, end users, and other interested people, collaborate on deciding what is the next most valuable thing to be worked on. After a lot of discussion, it's decided that the gift card features have been well enough implemented and that discount codes are no longer the highest priority. The team is now being asked to refocus on the items that will help more books to the same customer. The product owner wants a new feature called bundle pricing. If you buy the book you're looking at along with 2 other books, you get a small discount. The hope is that this feature of the website will increase the volume of books being solved. The resulting new product backlog item is Related Products Bundle Pricing, and it's agreed that Paula will add this to the product backlog before the next sprint. This is a great example of the power of Scrum and its ability to quickly adapt to the changing needs of a client or the work environment. Once the sprint review is complete, the team, including product owner and Scrum Master, reconvene for a retrospective to look at the last 2 weeks with the goal of improving how they worked together. As a result of their discussion, the team identifies several things that contributed to them missing the goal for the sprint. They overcommitted, they took on large product backlog items without splitting them down into smaller parts, they put too much work into progress. For the next sprint, they identify several improvements they could make. Always split large product backlog items into several smaller parts. Never have more than 3 product backlog items in progress at once. Find a way to start testing the original product backlog items before they are considered complete. Having finished their sprint retrospective, the team is ready to start planning for their next sprint tomorrow morning.